Hey guys, welcome back. Another edition of the Detour Potty. It's been a while between drinks. Last time we saw you was obviously the World Championships, but we're back to recap a massive 2022 in the cycling season as we near the end. I'm joined by four-time national road champion Johnny Trevaro and the voice of cycling, who's live from Kuala Lumpur, of all places, for the Tour of
Yeah,
Langkawi. Phil Liggett, how's it going?
I can prove it. I can show you the biggest. Can you see? I'm going great. Can you see the wonderful
We did believe you, Phil. We did believe you.
mosque? This is the famous. This is the famous mosque that when the Tour de Langkawi first got underway. Crikey, I was last on it 2009. That had just been built, and it was the biggest in the world. And well, here I am, sat outside it again, 12 years later.
I did the Tour of Langkawi, I think it was 2013, and the humidity, I mean, that was in Feb, I think, was one thing I remember. I was just spent most of my time sitting in the car with the aircon blasting. Yes. How's the conditions this time of year?
Yeah. Well, I've never been here in this time of the year, October, and it's the start of the rainy season, so there could be a bit of dampness around for the riders. It's cloudy, and it's a very gentle at the moment.
I think the clouds are blocking the Wi-Fi a bit as well. If he
25, 20.
Not like us to have Wi-Fi issues.
It would be a detour without it.
Keep talking. Look, I'm going to try the phone and see if I can get.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Not a problem. Jump back on the.
You guys carry on. I'm going to come back to it on the phone, and I'll be right back.
We'll do, mate.
Carry on.
Yeah,
Phil.
okay.
No dramas. Well, it's been a big 2022, but before we get to that, there's obviously some results we should unpack first. We'll start off with Lombardia, the last monument of the season, and the old mate Poggy, he gets the chocolates again. It was another sensational victory, and what a way to finish off the year, beating Enric Mas.
Yeah, defending champ and all that. But Enric Mas is really stepping up too. Mas beat him earlier in the week in the other lead-up race just about 6 days ago. Actually dropped the Pog on the last up climb. But this time the Pog was just too quick for him. Really good ride from Mikel Landa. And Valverde, sixth, right in the mix. Final race, his goodbye race. He actually said, "I just feel a bit funny about retiring when I actually am going so well." And just photo just popped up there with him and Nibali. It was Nibali's last race as well. Nibali was right in the mix too. I think he cracked on the last climb, and where did he finish? I think he finished 24th at 2:17. So. Yeah, two of the great stars of world cycling, both Nibali approaching 40 and Valverde 41. So, amazing career.
He just loves it, like Valverde. Like to have a career that's gone on for that long, but to keep going, like in the latter years, to going at the age he is, as you said, you just got to love racing.
He's a racer.
Another way to describe it.
Yeah, no, he's a racer. We love watching him race too because both of them are fantastic racers. You know, when either of them are in a bike race, you know something's going to happen. They both will attack. Nibali's one of the great descenders. He'll put pressure on down there. You know, they're fantastic careers, the pair of them. And sad to see them go, actually.
Have you seen the Netflix special on Movie Star?
No, I'm being slack. Everyone tells me it's very, very good, so I'm going to have to watch it. Yeah.
Well, the last series, I just watched the last episode because it went into the famous Vuelta when Superman Lopez jumped off his bike and went in all the behind the scenes of that. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. When he should have obviously continued, but it was all the battle about what was said in his ear. They told him to stop riding. He got frustrated, and and the fact that he literally jumped off his bike when he could have easily finished, in the top 5. Fascinating insight. Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to the Netflix series on the Tour de France that should come out probably early next year, where they covered, I think, the 8 teams. I think Jumbo Visma was in there as well. So to see all the behind the scenes stuff of that. It's going to be unreal. We've got
it's really amazing.
Few live comments. Michelle Graham says, would love to know opinions on team budgets and whether there should be changes.
Yeah, that's interesting debate that's going on at the moment because it's so lopsided when you've got teams like Ineos, which you've got twice the budget of the teams down the bottom end of the Pro Tour. And are they going to talk about bringing some sort of restraint in? I don't think they're going to do it, though. Interesting. They just keep buying the best riders, but they're having trouble winning the Tour de France at the moment, even with their big budget. So we'll see what happens next year. It's amazing, isn't it? With what's going on this year, it's been an amazing year, and to have all these new stars really emerging, it just makes the mouth water for next year's Tour de France if they all line up the Tour de France, because the rise and rise of Evenepoel, gee, I hope he does. I hope he does. He hasn't completely put it out of the options. His team's been saying, no, they're sending him for the Giro because it's a good Giro. But he's saying, well, we'll see.
Well, it's I think the bigger, because I've mentioned it a few times back in the early days when it was at Green Edge, and said, why isn't there like a salary cap? And the issue is you need a central spot where that governs the all the teams have to pay out of a central location, like a country or whatever, and then it's a lot trickier than just saying a blanket like here's a salary cap, because it comes under different rules and regulations. It's a lot more complicated, because it would make sense, because you've got these teams that at the bottom end of the food chain are struggling to survive, struggling to find those budgets. Whereas if they capped it, then it would even the field. And even with some of the wages, like take a Pogacar, the amount of money that was thrown at him, I think last year, to jump ship and join other teams. And then that just sort of has an inflation effect on all the other riders down the bottom of the pecking order as well.
Yeah, look, it's a hard one, isn't it? Then you go look at soccer, and then you realise the wages of the cyclists is just minuscule compared to what soccer players are getting. But they've got the same sort of issues too. The biggest teams have got much bigger budgets than the smallest teams in all the different leagues. So it's a worldwide issue. But I got to tell you, this was a great season. The way you were at the Tour, I was at the Giro and the Vuelta. Fantastic. We're both at the Worlds. The racing is just getting better and better, and the quality of the women's racing is really stepping up as well. So I've been enjoying that immensely. And we've got the gravel world titles on at the moment. So the women raced last night, and the guys are on today. And it's because UCI really got involved in the gravel now. So world titles, the women. So Farrar Prevost, Pauline, she is just a legend. She was the red hot favourite and she won it. She's now the current mountain bike champion and gravel champion. She was world road champion a few years back, so she can do a bit of everything. And Tiff Cromwell did a ripper ride. She was sixth, only 40 seconds back. So very, very good ride from Tiff.
Well, I think a lot of riders, we spoke with Heinrich Hausler at the start of the year, that are doing a bit of the gravel and cyclocross and all these other events to keep themselves, in good shape moving into, the road cycling season. So, do you think there'll be more riders sort of taking up that program just to keep their legs ticking over during the offie?
Yeah, I don't know whether the gravel racing fits into the offie so well, whereas definitely the cyclocross does. But the more and more are going to have a go at it as the money comes in. There's a 12 a really $1 million series coming up soon, so that will get a few lining up, especially guys sort of at the end of their career. On the road, it's another option for them, like Nathan Haas, he's become a gravel bike legend, so he's right in there and fully sponsored. So, and I think people love it because it's just a completely different sort of character to the road racing. It's not structured, it's not like the teams, it's more go in there and have a go, more individual.
We've got a couple more live comments. Ian Thomas says, thanks for a great season, Dan, JT, and Phil. I think Phil's trying to reconnect with his phone, but didn't look like it was working before, so we'll have another crack. Manuel Luigi used to work with him at Greenwich, says, g'day. How are you, Manuel? Sally says, congrats, Dan and Iffy, on a great year of bringing us inside. Goss and fantastic guests. Your on-the-ground coverage of the Tour and Vuelta was epic. I thought your coverage at the Giro was pretty good as well. Johnny?
What a year, eh? Well, the Giro was special because we had an Aussie winner who was being celebrated today. There he is in
Perth,
his hometown of Perth, so which would have been pretty amazing to be a part of, actually.
What's great is there's not like a perpetual trophy that just does the rounds. They get that custom trophy for each year. So he was able to show that off with all the kids and sign some autographs. And, for sure that's going to have a flow-on effect of the next generation of young cyclists coming through. Definitely.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, mate. I mean, people sort of forget it's only our second ever Grand Tour victory from Australia. So Cadell's Tour de France and now Jai Hindley in the Giro. And I was, I just feel so fortunate to have been there, a part of that journey, and annoying him every day and him putting up with it. It was wonderful just to see how cool he is. He's a really cool bike rider under pressure. It was great to watch.
Now, you're talking about budgets before. I saw some figures thrown around, €75,000 for the hour record in terms of equipment and tech alone for Philippe Garner. Sensational ride because he's unified the hour record by smashing Chris Boardman's, what do they call it, the best human effort on the banned Superman position.
Chris's wasn't counted as the hour record anymore, but it's the fastest anyone ever gone because it was in that Superman position. But he beat that as well, so he's unified, as you said. But 56.792. I mean, go out on the bike on the flat, a slight downhill and get to 56.792. That's amazing. Jump on a track and try and get there. Most, even fairly fit bike riders wouldn't be able to get to 56.7, let alone hold it for an hour. I mean, it's staggering, really. Absolutely staggering.
Sensation. Do you think, given he smashed it, that many people try it again, or they'll just literally be like, I ain't getting anywhere near that. It's not even worth it. Forget it.
Well, yeah, it might put others on hold for a little while. But interestingly, the record was held by Dan Bingham, who works for Ineos, and he was instrumental in the team working with Garner to break his own record. So he must be a good bloke.
Yeah, it's great culture within the team then. Fantastic. Hey, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of our highlights of 2022. So stay tuned.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Now, I want to say a massive thanks to our great mates at Bike Exchange. Head over to bikeexchange.com.au for anything bike related. You need a road bike, mountain bike, e-bike, gravel bike, anything bike related. But it is the end of an era, Johnny. They're wrapping up the sponsorship of the Detour podcast, and great opportunity. Can't believe it. but we want to say, just a massive thanks to everyone involved, because they've been inaugural partners and sponsored the show all the way through, and without their support, we wouldn't have been able to do the show. So, big shout out to those guys. And moving forward, I'm going to re-sticker a new intro, new banners, new branding, new everything. So send an email to john@cyclingevents.com.au if you're interested in getting behind the show. If you're a business, you don't have to be cycling related. It could be
anywhere in the world.
Brewery. Just give us product. But yeah, send an email, john@cyclingevents.com.au, because you've got sort of big things planned moving forward. So we'll send you out an information pack, and you could be a partner of the show. So get behind the Detour podcast if you.
Yeah, and just following on from what you said, mate. We're part of the Bike Exchange family. They sponsor Bike Exchange Jayco, of course, but they've been they're great guys. All the people who work there, and it's been sensational. And as you say, end of an era, it's been wonderful. Nearly 3 years that they've been supporting us. So, yeah, and I'm sure we'll be doing something with them again in the future.
Just got a message from Phil. Wi-Fi is no good, so you can't get it to hold the signal. So appreciate Phil for all his work that he's done on the show as well. And we had a crack. We got a little yarn in about Lane Cowie.
Well, we're going to stir him up too, because he's coming out here at the end of December. He's coming out for the summer. We're working at the Bay Crits, of course, and Tour Down Under. So coming out. So looking forward to catching up with Phil.
A few more live comments. Wendy Superfan says, hi, Dan and John. Jan Borman says, again, love the way Valverde and Nibley really race. Seems odd not to have them racing again. As you mentioned, Valverde, I think after that result, thinking, geez, is this a bit premature? Though you've got to retire at some point.
Yeah,
and Jan also said,
Nibley said the opposite. He said, there's no way I'm coming back. I'm done, he said.
Yeah. Jan says, no salary cap in any other sport. Why should there be in cycling? Michelle Graham says, more riders seem to be retiring a few years before they would have in the past, Bills being an example. I have a theory. Since COVID, riders seem to be racing like it's their last day racing. Any thoughts?
Yeah, interesting. They're definitely racing differently since COVID. I think riders know when it's time. It's different for, we all have a different biological clock in our bodies. But Bill's, for instance, he's slightly younger than those guys, but he knows it's time for him. He's got other things planned. You'd know more about that than me, since you are much closer with him.
Hang on. Phil looks like his internet's working. We got you, Phil.
Hey, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
It kicked in. It just kicked in on the phone. So good to see you both.
Oh, perfect.
Well done, mate.
Yeah, great. I think I offended it when I sent you a reply saying that I couldn't get through. So it's working.
Yeah, we just did a whole wrap-up and said thanks for your contributions on the show. And if he said he was going to wind you up, now you're back.
What a good bloke you are, and you're coming out here this summer.
No. Well, shall I go then?
We were just talking about Garner and his absolute ridiculous 56.792 for the hour, 56.792 kilometres. That's just a kilometre an hour. That is just amazing.
Yeah, I remember when obviously Chris did the superhuman time, and then they banned the Superman bikes, and Chris reckoned it would probably hold for around 10 years, and it certainly did that. But Philippe Canet is the most surprising enigma, really, because look at the ride he put in at the World Championships, which is probably his worst performance of the year, and then he goes and prepares and gets his brain back in gear, back home, and he does this sort of ride. The guy, once he gets his head into his direction of travel, shall we say, he's a fantastic bike rider against the watch. He's almost never beaten against the watch. I think he's won about 24 races, and only 2 have been other than time trials, something like that. Terrific.
Yeah, phenomenal. You must be getting excited that you're coming back to Australia, Phil. It's been a while.
I am actually, and I was actually at a function in the Australian Embassy 3 nights ago, just the night before I flew here, and I met with the chairman and CEO of Santos, who was giving a talk on oil, obviously a touchy subject around the world, and because Santos are actually an extremely green country in defending. They agree you've got to get at the fossil fuels even now, but he was telling us all that Santos was doing to make the carbon footprint much less. Great conversation, and the company has just missed the international angle of the Santos Tour down there. They can't wait for it to start again, and I'm sure the riders will go back in numbers. They've got great plans. The women's race is extended as well. I'm looking forward very much to flying back, and dare I say, I'm going to do the Bay Classics as well, if John will let me, you know. So and the Cadell Evans are all on the planning table. But you'll have to forgive me. I'm a bit dazed because I've literally only had 6 hours sleep in the last 48, because I went to a function, then went to the airport at 4 a.m. That was 2 nights ago, and I just landed about 3 hours ago. I had a quick shave and a shower. And then the worst thing happened. John called me, and here I am.
Well,
Just when you thought it was safe.
what's your highlight of the 2022 season, Phil? I mean, there's been a few big moments, but what are some of the ones that stand out for you?
I think it's been one of the most fabulous seasons. We talked for decades, really, it seems, of the youngsters making their impressions. This year, they wiped everybody else out, and I remember Nibali saying at the start of the season, if you're top end 20s now, your career's finished. Well, as we know, Nibali retired with Valverde at the Tour of Lombardy yesterday. 2 magnificent bike riders. Valverde has just had a terrific end of season, knocking on the door of even a big win, finishing 6th in Lombardia. 2 great riders, but there's no room for them anymore. And this is why, you know, sadly, we'll probably never talk about Chris Froome again at a high level of racing, and a lot of other bike riders that we've talked of. They're here now, and they're here big time. For me, there's the highlight has got to be Remco. We've talked about guys emulating the great Eddie Merckx, and it's just been a lip service we've been paying. But this guy is the real deal, and Eddie has said it. I saw Eddie in his formative years, and I commentated on him. I see the same image every time I see Remco ride, and the way he won that world title, it was an attack, and he had to go and do it by himself. So he was obviously the top highlight, but you know, the women also found their champion, Annemiek van Vleuten, as well, and she's had the most amazing year. How do you break a part of your body and you get up and you go and win the world championship? That was moments after she finished. She looked at the camera, she just shrugged, she says, I'm the world champion. I can't believe it. And when she pulled that sprint out and just left the bunch behind, it was just unbelievable. And I commentated on that terrible crash she had in Rio de Janeiro at the Commonwealth Games.
She should have won
At
that.
the Olympics Games. Look, I thought she was dead. The way she landed on her neck, I thought, oh my God, they're not going to say anything about this, but I think she's gone. And as you know, within 6 hours, she was sat in bed tweeting, I'm fine. And she fought her way back to this fantastic level of bike racing. So two terrific highlights of, you could write a book on this one season alone, couldn't you?
Yeah. Well, she won all 3 Grand Tours this year.
Yep.
For the women and the world title. I thought her doctor was the doctor, just because she crashed in the mixed team time trials, as you all saw, right at the start. Yeah, unfortunately, down, fractured her elbow, and one of my friends spoke to the doctor that morning of the women's road race. Said, "How much pain is she going to be in?" He said, "Oh well, anyone else wouldn't start, but Annemiek, she'll be fine."
Yeah.
Just like, which is another species.
Absolutely sums it up. Yeah. She was such a great, and she hasn't announced it, but I'm just wondering if she will cancel her retirement and come back as the world champion. It's
Well, she said she's
very,
riding
very
on next year. She's riding out 2023. She said.
When did you say that? While I was flying?
Yeah, no, I read it on Salty News Site Tips, one of those. She said she's going to retire at the end of 23.
Okay, because you did announce her retirement at the end of this year, and she's obviously had to. And then the serious rethink came after she won the world title and just about everything else that happened along the season as well. You know, it's a shame in some ways, John, because we saw a brilliant winner of the Tour de France and two great sporting guys in Pogacar and Vingegaard. And Vingegaard got the better of an on-form Pogacar. But he's sort of gone into the shadows because he never raced again until just the Crow Tour just recently, which he almost won on. Lost it on the last day in the first of the last sprint. He's a total hero in Denmark now. Absolute total hero. He's their biggest sportsman they've ever had. And he's in the mix now with so many things that have happened this year that we all want to talk about. Yeah. But he'll be back big time for sure.
Oh, he'll be back. Don't worry about it.
He's not gone anywhere, of course.
I just can't wait to watch that Tour de France with him and Pogacar. And Roglic, I mean, he even though he crashed out badly near the end of the Vuelta, he's so tough. You can never cut him out of the equation. Although, for him to win the Tour, I reckon he'd have to almost go to another team. But anyway, that's another challenge. And then Evenepoel, what is he going to do? If he rides the Tour, he's going to be in that mix. He's too good. He's going to be better again next year. So, it's and Bernal. Can Bernal come back to that level? Probably can. So, it's exciting to think about.
Well, he's the big mix. We don't know what's going to happen with Egan Bernal now. So much has happened during his injury, which started at the beginning of the year when he hit the back of that park bus. He's going to come back for sure. And the work that's being done in Ineos, they've moved out people like Carapaz. So they're going to face him as a rival next year as well. And they strengthen the team with youngsters who are still to come through. The arrival of Tom Pidcock in his first Tour de France, he was magnificent. There's no end of new stars in the sport as we speak at the moment. And
it's right. You're going to put Tom Pidcock into that mix when you talk about all those names because
you have. Don't write off Wout van Aert. Van Aert did a fantastic ride as a teammate and still finished fourth in the World Championship. And who knows about the return of Van der Poel after the debacle of the World Championships? He'll be back.
Yeah. Well, he's riding tonight, isn't he? The World Gravel Championship. I notice he's riding a road bike where everyone else is riding gravel bikes. So he thinks the road bike's fine.
I was going to say, from an Aussie perspective, if a couple of the rides that stand out was obviously Simon Clark, his unbelievable stage win on stage 5 at the Tour de France. And, we'd spoken to him a couple of times on the show and we'd had Phil on at the same time, I think one of the episodes, and I mean, what a fantastic story that was this year, Johnny.
Well, look, I thought Michael Matthews' win was his best ever victory. That was just blew me away. But the ride for an Australian this year has to go to Jai Hindley. I mean, Jai Hindley, his win, the calculated way, calm way he went about it and took it out, that stood out to me. And also Jay Vine, his 2-stage wins in the Vuelta, unfortunately crashed out and didn't get the kilometres he was going to get. But one of those victories, it was just amazing. You had Evenepoel in fine form, 10 seconds behind him for about 5 or 6 kilometres and couldn't catch him. That says everything. That just shows the quality of that win.
No, absolutely. It was a good year for Australian cycling, a really good year. Because there was so much to report. You seem to hit the jackpot, John. Everywhere you went to watch a big race, the Aussies came good.
I'll bring out the best of them, mate.
You missed out on Simon Clark's stage 5 win, but even so, it was the Aussies have had a very, very good season. They really have.
Got a live question from Jan Borman. Quick question. Teams need sponsors. UCI need teams with funds. Everyone knows it takes more than 3 years to get a team going. Why are the UCI penalising any new major investment with this draft relegation process, Johnny?
Well, the interesting thing is the UCI didn't come up with this idea, Everyone's blaming the UCI. The teams came up with the idea a couple of years back. 3 years or whatever. And when it was actually started by the pro teams who talked about a relegation, not the UCI. People forget that.
Yeah. It
I
is a
didn't know
good
that.
point. And indeed, the riders and the representatives voted for the system which is in place now. Of course, it's altered because of the situation with COVID. Riders have dropped out of races in big points gains position because of they couldn't continue it with COVID. And this was never foreseen. When the UCI will have stood by the guns and they're not going to relax any of the rules. But,
it's a worry.
the thing is, it's a 3-year decision. It's a 3-year relegation. That's the basic of it. And I think we will see changes because of it. It basically is a good idea, but I'm not sure sport can take it, in all honesty, because we're not.
I think the COVID thing threw it all into disarray.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a huge flashback. Yeah.
Couple more comments before we wrap things up. Andy Matthews says, thanks, Dan John, for a great year. Might see you at the Bay Crits if Robbie is keen. His second last race of the year in Belgium today. So Andy will be there. And Ian Thomas says, highlight of the year was Iffy giving out beers at the finish of the Vuelta. Very popular. Except for Rowan Dennis. Rowan Dennis was pretty disappointed.
Well, he missed me, but I haven't spoken to Rowan since. But I know he got stuck into me on your social distance podcast.
Yeah.
But, so I'll have to send him a message to say, hey, I had the beer there for you, mate, but you went past the other side of the bunch and didn't see me. I should have chased him down because I did promise it to him. But anyway.
Andrew Morgan goes, when does your football doco get released, Dan? Good news is we've finished all 6 episodes, so they're getting locked. It's going to be out on Paramount Plus probably in a month's time. That's the one following the Western United Footy Club. So it's a pretty epic story from cellar dwellers to champions in 1 year. So look out for that one. I'll be definitely promoting it on the Detour podcast, even though it's got nothing to do with cycling. That's how I roll.
It's all right.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else?
Farewell to Richie Port. Don't forget Richie Port. End of a great night from the bike racing world. I'm sure we'll see Richie again, maybe in front of the camera or whatever. But Richie won't just disappear. I know that.
We'll have to get him on the show, Iffy.
We will for sure. Yeah,
sure,
he's doing a big family holiday. I don't think he's coming back until early in the new year, but become back to being a Tasmanian. But look, what a wonderful career, the superstar. Look, we had some really good Australian rides this year. It was great to see the next step happen in women's cycling. The Women's Tour de France was an amazing event. The crowds just blew me away, because they didn't rely on it. Was after the men's, and to watch those crowds build and build as the women's tour went on was fantastic. Women's racing has been really impressive, and now that the TV is starting to show it more, they're starting to get paid properly. It's becoming the proper pro sport, or should it? Great to see.
Yeah,
I want to send a shout out to Andrew Wright as well. We mentioned Logan Curry, I think, in the junior world's results this year. He had a 21st, and he's gone out and purchased some social distance podcast T-shirts. Great bloke, shit rider, and Logan got the great rider, shit bloke shirt. So I think that had a big night. And Johnny, you had a catch up with a couple of old sparring partners.
Well, that's the photo taken in 72, just before we went away to Munich Olympics. Stuart Bishop, Danny Clark, Donnie Allen, John Nicholson, Clyde Sefton, Graham Jones, who unfortunately was killed the next year, and Phil Sawyer and myself. And we had a catch-up last week, so that we tried to get into the same positions almost. The Stuart Bishop at the back, Johnny Billsma up next to him, Donnie Allen, John Nicholson, me over on the right, then Phil Sawyer, Remo Sansonetti and Clyde Sefton. So it was fantastic. We had it at Jerry's Pub. You know that room down there, Phil? The little wine cellar there. We had lunch there, just the 8 of us. Unfortunately, Danny was over in Italy, not racing, so he wasn't back. But yeah, it was just great. A lot of war stories and brilliant.
Looking at your eyes in that photo, John, you're about 1.5 bottles in.
Yeah, it could be. It was a big day, and then we stayed and had dinner that night. And the next day, we had a Mayo Jean lunch where Matty Keenan, Gero, and I hosted, and Grace Brown and Luke Platt were our special guests, and it was a great day as well. So 2 in a row, but I survived again.
Fantastic. Massive thanks to everyone for the support for the show throughout the year, and continue to support youtube.com/a Detour podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Anything you want to add before we go, fellas?
Yeah, just
No,
like to add
the job
sorry, mate. A big thank you to all our special guests like Phil, who comes on all the time regularly, and Scott McGrory, and a lot of our regulars, Buells. There we go. Quick update on Carrie.
So what you do when I put up the comments, John, you go, quick comment now from Free Ranger. He asked a quick update on Correca, please, Phil.
Well,
Trying
actually,
to do that. I couldn't say it. Thanks, mate.
It couldn't be better time because, as you know, we took a bunch of basically cyclists over there in April, and we raised just over, I've got to get it right, nearly 200,000 Aussie dollars worth.
Wow.
All from cyclists over the COVID last COVID year and down at Correca. And the Correca Foundation down there have taken local farms, bought the land for farmers. The farmers wanted to sell the land to us. We've rewilded the whole area. They've taken out a fence in the middle and moved it. It's now over 56,000 hectares large, and they've introduced more line, and the rhinos, touchwood, we're having a rhino poach now for nearly 8 years, I think it is. It's just going unbelievably well. And Correca Foundation have, as you know, they allow us 1 day a year when we can cycle on the estate. We're going back again next April. Outward, it's filled up with a lot of bike riders to just do this one particular ride. There are only 16 people allowed to ride because they have to have an armed guard. But we're going on. We have become one of the biggest benefactors for Correca, and they've never stopped saying thank you.
Yeah.
And basically,
That's fantastic.
And yeah, it's great. It's just a love story. It really is. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Thanks to you guys too for the way you publicised it for us. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
No, not a problem. Least we can do, mate.
All right.
Well, thanks again, Phil. Good luck at Tour Langkawi, mate. Hope it's a great event and keep that aircon pumping.
Well, actually, I walked in the room and turned it off. You know me and aircon, we don't like each other. So and the makeup man came in and turned it back on, so I've turned it off again now. He probably thought he had a problem with the mechanics. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this race very much. It's interesting for me. A lot of good bike riders are downstairs at the moment. There's 4, I think it's 4, there might be 6 World Tour teams here. But as we know, I think the relegations are now, I'm afraid, too far behind to be saved from the drop. But that story may run for a while longer yet, with Premier Tech threatening to sue if they get the drop. We'll see.
Yeah, well, they're going to get dropped because they're definitely they're the lowest ranked team, so they'll be getting dropped along with Lotto. And there was a terrible story on I think it was on Cycling Tips the other day, where managers, a lot of the managers are talking to other teams, and there could be talk of quite a few riders leaving teams. They've got contracts, but because they've dropped out of the World Tour, that means they can break their contract. So I hope that doesn't
that's
the case, but that's the talk.
Yep, absolutely it is, John. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again.
Ask me next week. When I had a chance to talk to the teams, I might have more stories.
No, sounds good, mate.
Well, Dan's going on a little bit of a stage journey. He's away on, I don't know if we talk much about that, my own business, but Dan, I just wanted to thank you for all the great work you've been doing this year. We'll be back in a week or so, but you've done a great job, mate, as always.
You too, mate. It's always good. And we didn't box heads on this episode, so we're starting to mature as well. So that's good. Good sign moving forward. Thanks again, guys. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Iffy. We'll be back again soon. So
well done. Thanks.
Take it easy. Cheers.